Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. And thank you all so much for the really lovely comments that you left on the last video, which was the film studio build. This is absolutely one of the funnest builds that I've ever done in City Skylines. I think it's going to be hard to beat, to be honest, in terms of my enjoyment, at least, in building it. And yeah, I think it turned out pretty nice with all our little different film sets that we've got going on here. Little Desperate Housewives, Gilmore Girls area, whatever you want to call it. We also had, obviously, our big cyberpunk area. And one thing I didn't really point out was actually these characters that I put in here, which this, like, damsel in distress with two of these kind of, like, futuristic vagrant type people, I don't know. And someone did also mention, actually, shout out to Jenny Bell, that these robots would definitely be CGI'd in. But, yeah, well, I think it adds a nice little effect to our cyberpunk area there. But I really like how these studio assets turned out. They're gorgeous, gorgeous assets from the workshop. And this build probably was a bit more heavily modded in terms of the asset usage than I have done previously in Auridon. But I think it was worth it to get this effect into the build. And you guys certainly seem to like it. So thank you all so much for that support. Yeah, it was super fun to make. For today, we're going to be turning our attention over to this little area here, this little peninsula, and filling this out. And we are going to be doing an amusement park build here with some special unique asset as well. One idea that came from a viewer, which we will come on to later in the episode, which I think is going to be a nice touch next to our film studios as well, out on this peninsula. And also give our skyline a nice little foreground here with all the lights of the amusement park assets and that sort of thing going on. So hopefully it will turn out all right. Now we have got a bit of fog coming in, so I am just going to turn off the weather for a second. I do like the effect that the weather gives to the city, but it does make it a little bit dark when the fog rolls in because of our boreal theme. But the first thing that we are going to do today is do a little bit of terraforming. So what I want here is some nice layers of height. And as per Auridon, we're going to keep the kind of general theme that is Auridon running throughout this area as well. Going to introduce some natural features into the middle of our amusement park. So I would like to get this relatively low to the water's edge and create a nice big plateau in this area. And there we go. So I've kept this bit a little bit higher, just smoothed out the edge there so we get a nice transition up to the slightly higher part of this plateau, and then just terraform this right up to the road so we get a nice edge there, which will come along in detail, obviously, in the detail and time lapse later. But that should work well, and of course we've cleared out the trees. So let's get in our road network to start off with. So what I would like is a road actually coming out from here, which is going to dip underground and go underneath this highway. So we'll just bring out a small bit like that, and then let's just turn Anarchy on so that we can get in nice and close to this road. And what we'll do is go down underneath, probably to a height of 12, I think gives us a nice flat tunnel like that. And then we'll pop it up the other side by just hitting home here. And we're going to have to do a little bit of move it here just to adjust this to make it sit nicely next to this highway as well. So just like that's a little bit better. I added in an extra node here so that we could bring this slightly further out. So we've now got this nice, just slight gap next to the highway, but this comes out kind of nice and flat underneath it to give us access to where our amusement park will be. So let's again grab the road. I'm going to do the one with no parking, but actually we'll use a grass lined here so it's a little bit nicer for us. Bring that out slightly further. And then what I would like to do, and in fact actually we'll save the nodes here by just dragging this out a little bit, holding Alt as well. We'll keep that snapping on using Move It. And then we'll bring this across like that, because what I would like to put in this area is just some basic car parking. And I'm actually just going to use the same asset that I've been using recently, which saves on nodes as well by not using parking lot roads, but I think also looks really nice in a little area like this. So we'll just pop in a few car parks along here. So that should give us plenty of car parking for the area. And then what we'll do with the road is we'll bring it out just a little bit further this way, and then we're going to bring it up and down alongside this highway here. And we'll just continue this on. Let's turn snapping back on just a little bit that way. And then here we can make a nice smooth connection. So let's actually just trim that back a tiny bit for now. And then we'll bring out some nice smooth curves using the freeform tool there to join that up and bring that in closer to the highway that side. And the slope could be a little bit nicer. So let's just use slope tool and move it here to align those, slope those objects. And yeah, that feels a little bit smoother going down the hill here. So before I go too far, I do want to make sure that we've got room for public transport in here, and we have the metro station right here. So what I'd like to do is bring down a footpath firstly. So instead of bringing in another metro station, which I don't think is needed, the main amusement park entrance will be right here. So we'll just bring in a footpath to connect people from this metro down to the amusement park. So let's go ahead, and I think what I will use is actually the amusement park path, because it does give us that really nice red fencing to it, sort of copper style fencing, which I think will work nicely here. So we'll just bring that up straight right across the highway. Let's make sure that's level, just like that. And then we'll start to slope it down. I would like a little bit of a curve here so it's a bit smoother. So let's turn snapping off. And we'll bring it down onto this other side of the road. We'll bring that down a couple of points like that. And then we're going to curve it all the way down to meet the ground like that. But let's just make sure that that follows the road so it looks a little bit smoother there. And it is quite a steep slope, but it's manageable, I think. So yeah, just like that will work nicely. And you can imagine the kids going down there on their skateboards and absolutely loving that. But there we go, that will give a connection down from the metro down to our amusement park. And then the other thing I'd like to do here is extend this monorail down into this area as well. As mentioned, we're going to have a unique building here, so this will help to bring people into that. And it's also not too far to walk then down to the entrance to the amusement park. So I think that'll be plenty of public transport there, the metro and the monorail combined. Now, just before we do that, I do want to make a slight adjustment to this area because we're getting a lot of sickness here because of the noise pollution, and it's really stemming from this monorail station combined with some of the assets that we've got in the studio. So I'd like to just move this monorail station back a little bit and create a bit of a plaza in front of it, and also actually add in some medical facilities here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that in a quick time lapse and be right back. So there we go, just a basic little medical area, and moving that monorail back has meant that these houses are no longer complaining of noise pollution, which is nice to see. And they've got some basic medical facilities in here now, just lined with a few extra little car park assets as well. You can make these really simply in the asset editor as well. There are tutorials available on YouTube for that if you're not sure how, but it's super easy to do. So go and play with it. It's, yeah, really easy to make your own parks. We've got this nice little promenade just using some tile props and some of the sitting sim props as well, which really add a nice effect, I think, to the area. Actually adds some life to some of those empty benches that we have lying around Auridon. We'll need to put a few more of those in. And we've got a path underneath so that people can walk through. So yeah, I think that turned out all right. We need a bit more residential expansion, and I'll also probably put in some touristy hotels around in this corner here as well, just so that it's nice and close to where the tourists maybe want to be. And I have now extended the monorail line out to here. So next thing is to come on to our amusement park. So let's get the entrance in. And in order to do that, I want to make a little bit of a feature out of it. So we're going to use the Park Life Paths as roads mod here, and we'll use the amusement park road because why not? And we'll just draw this out like that for now. I think we'll, yeah, leave a gap of about 4, and we'll bring that in down the side there. Looks like that's roughly centered. Let's trim off this little bit here. And then let's grab our amusement park main entrance. I think we will use the large one as opposed to the small one. It's got, yeah, nicer chirpy land, shooting star assets. And it centres quite nicely into our road there. So we can come through and do some nice kind of plaza detailing, similar to what we just did outside of the monorail station in front of it here, to make a bit of a feature out of this entrance. Now, of course, we also then want to draw out our park area. So let's grab that little bit that the entrance has given us and draw it out over all of this bit. And we'll keep it away from this top section here where the land is slightly raised up, because that will be something a little bit different as mentioned. So now before I come on to putting in the main amusement park assets, I do want to do a little touch of Auridon, should I say, into this amusement park, which is probably not going to come as a surprise to many of you, but we're going to do a little bit of terraforming and bring some water into this area. So let's grab our terraforming tools. We'll turn the brush strength right down as always, and I just want a little small one here, and we're just going to create a very, very small opening lake this side. So not very deep at all, quite shallow, as we have done in some of the other water features that we've done around Auridon. So like this whole river that runs through the Okie Dokie Loki Central Park and also through the Orifices office district here as well. That's a similar sort of thing that we are going to bring out into our amusement park over here. So let's just grab that height there. I think we can go down a tiny bit further there. Yeah, just like that. Let's turn the brush strength up now, and we'll just terraform out a pretty small, in fact I'll make this actually a little bit smaller, windy river that's going to get us right to the water's edge over here. Now clearly there's a slight difference in height, so what we want to do is just make sure that this has got water coming in. And then we will grab, in fact let's just make our lake a little bit bigger at the top end here. And we can come through and smooth out some of the sides in a little bit. And actually let's just make this a little bit more windy before we sort the water out. So let's grab that and we'll bring it down this way a little bit further. And then back up like that. Let's bring this across. And again, we can kind of fix this as we go, as we do this. But yeah, something like that should look nice. And then what we need to do is grab our slope tool. If we click at this height here and then drag right from the water's edge, what we will do is start to slope the terrain all the way up our windy river so that we get a nicely kind of sloping flow of water that runs down the little riverbed. Now, of course, because the height is different, we are going to play and put in some water here. So we'll turn the water capacity down to the lowest. Let's pause the game to do this. And we just left click and drag this down to the level that we want. So we want it quite high up in the riverbed. So I think we'll do it like that for now. We'll click play and see how that goes. Now that is not in the middle there. So let's just fix that. Yeah, I think like that will do. Let's click play and see where we get to. Okay, so that is flowing quite nicely down into the main ocean out here. And it's maybe a little bit wider than I want, but once we get all the rocks in, it will look a little bit narrower and a little bit more flowy. But I think that that is a cute little start for this. So let's start having a think about the placement of the main assets. Now, of course, we have already got a level 5 amusement park because we had to do that in order to get the big wheel to put into our festival site. Little reminder of this over here. Now, I wouldn't call this... Oh, we have got a festival on as well at the moment. Now, I wouldn't call this an amusement park because it's such a mixed asset use area, but we have got some of those big amusement park assets in here already. And of course, we have already used some as well in Prepare to Market, where we've bobbed off some of those horrendous tiles. So I don't want to change those back. So we're going to have to be a little bit careful with tile usage in some of our assets. I don't mind the amusement park tiles, so we'll keep it on some assets, but the ones that have already been bobbed will stay. So the main big assets that I want to make sure that we place in nicely is, of course, the roller coaster, which we don't have any of yet in Auridon. So this is quite exciting to get this in now. Now we will just, I think, run this right up against the water's edge like this. Right, yeah, right up next to where the beach starts. I think it's a good location. So do that, and of course it is going to terraform out that edge a bit, but again, in the detailing time lapse, we'll come through and put in a lot of rock detailing to tidy up that water's edge. We'll have that there. I would also like the big wheel, I think, right at the end here, and again, that's going to terraform out those edges, but we'll cover that up with our rock detailing when it comes to it, so that can sit nicely there. And then the other particularly large asset is this one, which I think I will place over here right by the beach. So that'll sit quite nicely up against this beach, and we'll keep that relatively clear to the back here so that we can see that swinging. And actually, because you don't actually need a particularly large space for an amusement park, and we've got a decent sized space here, I'm going to add in a second roller coaster. So we will have this actually, I think, right up against this road here. So I'm just going to need to terraform back some of this landscape just a little bit. So we'll grab our leveling tool and we'll pull this back just a touch so that we can fit that roller coaster in here. And of course now this road is also going to want to be leveled out. So let's just grab this node and we'll bring it down to the same level as there. We'll drag this node back a little bit so that's nice and uniform in front of the monorail station there. And we'll worry about the terraforming on this section a little bit later. We can just smooth it out for now. But then we can go back in and grab our roller coaster asset again. And yeah, what I would like, because there's really nice fencing around it, which is one of the prop fencing that you can find in Find It as well. I'd like this right up against the road here. So as well, when you're on this highway, you can see these roller coaster assets sticking out. And it makes you go, oh, I want to go to that theme park. It's like free marketing, isn't it? So let's now go ahead and lay out our path network, and then we can think about where the smaller assets are going to sit. So now right out the front here, I would like a path that extends on through. And I think right next to that, we will add in one of the amusement park plazas because it makes sense to do so right at the start here. And in fact, we could potentially put one either side of this road. And yeah, we'll just need to do a tiny little bit of adjustment to our river here, which is absolutely fine. So let's turn that brush size right down. We'll grab this and just smooth that out a little bit. And then let's go back and grab our path here. And what we'll do here is just bring this round to cross over the river right about here. So we'll bring it a tiny, tiny bit further. And then we'll go to raised segments, bring that out into the river, and then snap it back down onto the other side here. Now that is like way too humpy for my liking. So let's just drop that down and move it. But I do like the effect of the hump here. So I think we will leave that. But what I will do actually, give a slightly nicer effect, is move the pillar down to this side, and then we will copy it as well using move it and add in a second one over this side, which I think will just look a little bit nicer. So let's just lift that up so it is actually adjoined to the path there. So then let's continue on with our path network, and what I would like is one that flows right alongside the front of this roller coaster here. So we'll join that like that, and let's just connect that in with a very simple connection there. Now this one, of course, will continue on this way and come down into the front of the big wheel here. So let's again just draw a very small straight bit of path outside the front of this, and then we can connect that in quite nicely there. And I will actually just extend this out the other side just a little bit so that that's framing it quite nicely. So then over this side, what I would like is for this path network to extend on round this way and come round the lake. So we'll again just draw in a small section like that and connect that up with a nice smooth curve there. And again, outside the front of this, we definitely want a straight path here. So we will do it just up to the start connection so it feels like it's connected there. And let's grab our freeform tool and we'll bring in a nice curved connection. And then I think here actually we can probably get away with trimming that back just a little bit. So we'll bring out a straight section in front of the main kind of tile area here, and then we'll curve this round the lake. So just like this, bring it in as close as we can. and then extending on back round into our main path network there. So that gives us a nice loop around the lake this side. Now over this way, one of the other assets I would like to put in here is actually the haunted house, which we did use in our film studios. It's a bit of a haunted house film studio. But here we will drop it in here. And what I'd like is actually this dip down, so we get a few different layers of height in here. Now the terraforming is going to look awful around this until we fix it and make it look better. But we will use that for now. And I'm actually going to grab the nature reserve path and bring out a kind of windy connection to this so that people sort of walk through a haunted forest in order to get to it. And then let's just pull this back slightly so that we can continue this on as a nice flowy path connection alongside the river this side. We'll bring it down just like that, and then I think what we will do here as well is create another bridge. So there we go. So I think that works nicely, and that gives us our main path connections. Of course we do actually want to connect in the haunted house as well. So let's just bring a little connection out here and we'll join the nature reserve path into that. Now around the haunted house, and this needs to be levelled out to the same height as that, what we will do, and we'll just make this so it's kind of a winding path down to it, so we'll just level this out just a little bit like that, and then we'll grab some terraforming tools and smooth out some of these sides so it's slightly less severe than what we are seeing here, but it will very much be in a bit of a pit on its own. And then we are going to cover this in forest, and I will put in some of the kind of more broken trees like we have around the haunted house area in the film studios as well. We'll do that and then find some of those kind of scary looking dead tree assets that we had. And then the other thing that I would like to do as well to detail up this little area is bring in some lights. Now we don't actually have power to this area, so let's just connect this up for now. So this is temporary for now, and we will bring in other buildings in here so that the power jumps and connects up further down the line, but for now that will do just to get power into the area. So let's go back and have a little look at lights. So now of course we're going to be using the after dark lights for this, and we're going to be highlighting this path I think with some sidewards red lights to make it a little bit eerie and creepy in that respect. So let's just go down this path and add a few of these in and make sure they're pointing in towards the path. There aren't even any normal street lights on this path here, it's just these red scary glowy lights, which hopefully adds a bit of an atmosphere to our haunted house area. Yeah, I think just like that will do. And I mean, that does look pretty eerie when you're coming down here with the dead trees and all of the lights at night. So hopefully that gives a nice effect. But yeah, I think all in all, that's looking pretty good there. So now coming back to the rest of the spaces, what I'd like over here is a little bit more of a kiddies area within the theme park. So let's go ahead and grab these assets. We've got the piggy train, we've got the teacups, we've got the little swinging pirates boat. All of these are relatively kiddie, and the carousel of course as well. Now the carousel, I think I'm actually going to place this right up by the front entrance here. So we'll just slot that in nicely there. And then we do also have the bumper cars, which again is another nice asset. So let's again drop this in. And of course, like, our tiling is different where we've used some of these assets in other places. What we do need to do when it comes to the detailing is come through and fill some of these areas with tiles to make it nice and consistent. So these tiles are just the regular yard tiles. So we can absolutely fill this area with them to create a nice consistent flow between them. And then of course we can go ahead and add lots of props into this area to give it a nice kind of theme park style vibe. And there's lots of really cute props that actually come with the theme park in the menu, so we can go ahead and have a look at some of those and place some in. I think we just need to manually plot some of these tiles around this curved path, otherwise it will start to look a little bit jaggedy and weird. So we'll go ahead and do that, and I think we'll just frame it off here at the end by trying to align that to the back of the bumper cars there. Yeah, so we get this nice forecourt, and it's a little bit dodgy, some of the glitching when you're up close, but it looks better than not having it there, certainly. So yeah, having a look at the type of props that we've got in here, there's loads of like these game machines, little cars, that sort of thing. So what I would like to do within this is create a little bit of an area for some of these. Oh, and also actually one of my favourite assets is this little balloon cart, which is just super cute. So we can definitely add this onto the corner, as well as the little candy floss cart as well. We'll add those in. I think they look really nice. Yeah, we'll come through in the detail and time lapse and add some more little areas for these little game machines and that sort of thing, particularly as this is a kind of small kids area. I think these will go nicely into that. Coming back to these assets, I think the boat would look really nice on the water's edge. So let's go ahead and add that in this side. And again, we'll need to use some tiles to detail this up around, but we can place that in there for now. And then with the piggy train, I think what I will do is line this up to the back edge of the roller coaster here, because it's got the same fencing on the back. So if we kind of line them up and merge them, then it will look a little bit like there's a consistent fence at the back there rather than just two hanging on. And of course the other thing that we do need to consider is the cafe and the souvenir shop and also the toilets as well. Now all of these have the same tiles as the teacups, so I think I will go ahead and try and incorporate those into those. We can have the cafe like that alongside the restrooms right next to it, and what we will do again in detailing is come through with tiles, fill out this area, so just like that. And then we can go ahead and add lots of props on here. So in particular the cafe, I definitely want to extend this out. We're going to have more of these tables around it. So we can actually find those tables in Find It, which are these ones, which they've used for the cafe there. And we'll extend them on round into a wider area outside the toilets here. We'll add in a load more tables like that. And we'll also grab the same parasol again, so that we're being consistent to the assets which we already have in place within the main theme park assets. So it looks consistent and it looks like an extension of that. And of course we'll come back and we can extend out some more of these benches as well, for those parents waiting for their kids to get off the piggy train. And similarly over here as well, outside the souvenir shop, we'll add in a few more of those. So that's the type of thing that we'll come through and do in detailing. We'll tidy that all up. It needs a little bit rough around the edges, so it needs a little bit of love and attention there. But yeah, that's what we'll do for these dead spaces and make them into little small plazas which are dotted around the park. So what I'll do now is just go ahead and place some more of these smaller theme park assets in and around our path network here. Okay, so there we go. So there's, yeah, lots of little areas that we will be doing lots and lots of detailing around. So bringing out, extending out this cafe area here, creating a nice plaza in the middle there. Again, we've got a couple of toilets, souvenir shops there, some little toilets on the end. Use a little bit of the node controller here as well to tidy up that loose end that we have here. We'll extend the tiles down so we don't get these random odd green spaces, but we still get our nice flowy path network. Again, extending the cafe out around this side, and yeah, lots and lots of props to go in. And we'll also create little queue areas around some of these bigger rides as well, using some of the barriers to make it look a little bit more like an actual theme park where you queue for hours to get on some of the rides. That's my experience anyway. Always go on a rainy day, folks. But we will tidy all the rest of that up in the detail and time lapse, but that's the main overall shape of our park for now. So I do just want to turn my attention to this little area here. So we had a suggestion come through from Hello, It's Arthur to potentially add like a movie red carpet, movie premiere area using the Theatre of Wonders, lots of people props to make it kind of seem like somewhere that they might host the Oscars or something like that. So that is actually what we are going to do here. So we are going to use the Theatre of Wonders exactly as Arthur has suggested. So thank you so much for that suggestion. And again, to everyone, keep all your suggestions coming because I do read them and I really enjoy inputting your ideas into the build. So let's put this in. Oh, we've got an autosave, and we will just spin this round so that the front of it is actually facing the water. Because this is going to make a really nice feature as a foreground to our downtown backdrop there, I think. So that's where we'll place it, right at the water's edge. And then what we are going to use here is and let's make sure actually that this is at the right height here. We'll just bring that up. Then we are going to use the Park Life Passes Road again with the amusement park because it's red. It's sort of red carpet-like, maybe. A little bit. And we'll place that in. Let's make sure these nodes are all at the same height. So it's kind of like a long red carpet sweeping in and round around the Theatre of Wonders like that. And we will actually, I think, keep it going down this side too. So we'll just not bring it in like that at all. terraforming leaves paths going absolutely nuts. And we'll create some nice little plaza areas around it as well. And I think what I will do is attempt to add a helipad onto this. So what we will do is just grab our terraforming tools again, and we'll get the level terrain tool. We'll bring out a little square here, just so it's a little bit flatter, again, kind of almost at the water's edge, like that. And then what I'm going to do is use brush tool with our concrete brush here to make a really nice square area like this, which is attached to that path there. And then I do now have some of these line props as well, which we can use to add in, hopefully, a helipad area. So what we will do is add in our circles. So I'll put in one, and then we're going to use move it, and we're going to copy it. Then I can hold Alt and spin it perfect 90 degrees, so we get a real perfect circle in here. And again, we'll do that, and we'll continue this on round, trying to get this right in the centre of this little concrete area here too. So yeah, like that will do. And then what we are going to do is in the middle, put in a little H. And these are just really nice decorating tools. So yeah, we've got our little helipad there. And then I do have the helicopter props that we used elsewhere as well. So I think I will add in some of the, not a police one. I think we'll add in this one right on there. So it makes it look like, yeah, a celebrity has just flown in, waiting for the premiere there, which I think is a nice little touch for that area. And then again, all alongside this road, I would just like to flatten this out a bit more. So let's make sure our helipad is nice and flat all the way around. And then we'll grab this and level it out down to the end here, because what we'll do here is some nice tile details. So yeah, I think what we will do here, because this is quite heavily patterned, is draw in a nice big long length of these tiles here. So again, we can add in a second strip, just making sure it's nicely aligned at the end, which actually we get a bit of a odd pattern there, which I don't actually hate. Slightly different to the rest of it. And then similarly, I think we will as well add in more of these tiles down this end too. Let's just take off linear fence fill for this, yeah, and we can add them into this area. So yeah, there we go. And then we can do some nice prop detailing within these when we come to the detailing time lapse, but I think that sets it up quite nicely. Okay, so a couple of final things just to tidy this up. Now, looking at our park, we've got so much entertainment in here that would be absolutely fine to level it up. Let's whack the price up. We don't seem to be making a huge amount of money, and I'm thinking it's probably because I put this connection far too close to the entrance, but I'm not really too concerned about that as of yet. We can also then add in some of these policies. So yeah, we could have fireworks here, even more fun. Amusement park buildings maintained super well. I think we will have that. And then I will actually put on main park here as well, just so we can try and attract some more people down to this area. We've got that on a few parks, so we are going to have to go around and sort out that policy at some point. But then I also do want to make sure that this electricity jumps. So let's just delete out these temporary power lines for now. And what we're going to add in here is a little bit of commercial. But I am also going to use some of these Japanese content creator buildings here as well, because I think they will fit in quite nicely in between this main road and the highway here. And again, we can add in some walls and some detailing around them to make them just fit in just a little bit better, but not the big service station. But yeah, I think these will look quite cute like this. So yeah, we'll have this one on the corner here, and then we do have just one more, which again, yeah, I think we can add in just right next to this one. Let's try and line up those little row of bricks there so that that looks consistent, so we're not doubling up on that. And then we can just grab a few more commercial assets to add in along this side. Yeah, there we go. And I have just added in a few of these just low density commercial buildings, which are hotels actually, so Central Hotel, and then the Starlight one, which I've just merged three of them in together to give a little kind of motel vibe, I think, to this one, which I think works quite well as well from the road. Yeah, looks all right merged like that. Couple of green cities here because we are going to have some more residential this side, so I want to be a little bit wary of noise pollution. So this kind of really provides a couple of places for people to go and eat. People maybe who work in the studios or in the amusement park or visiting the amusement park. And then a couple of just smaller hotel assets for those who are visiting the theme park or the Theatre of Wonders or the studio even, which I think is needed around this area because it will be quite touristy. But that does now lead us on to the detailing, so I will go ahead and jump into a time lapse and be right back. Okay, so I think the nighttime view of this with the downtown in the background has turned out pretty nicely. I love all the lights actually on the amusement park assets. I really like in particular how this little scary path has turned out going down to the haunted mansion here. It looks pretty creepy at night. We come right down into the path here. It's yeah, the red lights really make something of it. And of course we have also put lights onto the Theatre of Wonders here, giving it a nice multicoloured glow in the night time, which I think makes it look quite special if we're imagining that it is somewhere that's going to be holding premieres and the Oscars, the Auridon Oscars, whatever it might be here. I've actually decided to keep this pretty simple. We could have put in a load of Sims and kind of made it into a big red party thing, but I think I'll leave it like this. Just did a little bit of fountain detailing here with the pool assets in the front. Few blue lights just to give that a nice little glow there. And I have put in a few more of our wonderful Auridon billboards by Turtle the Builder. Absolutely love these. We've got the woodpeckers there. We also have, as we come down this road, got Garden Bobbers, Auridon Landscaping Company as well down here. Absolutely love those billboards. Thanks again, Turtle. But yeah, I think it's come together quite nicely. Again, we did a little bit of fountain detailing outside the front of the theme park here too. Just using those pool assets again to frame those fountains and just keeping that quite nice and simple. So let's bring it back to daylight so we can have a look at the rest of the detailing. So yeah, as you come in around all of these areas, I have just done a lot of kind of this mixed hedge detailing. So I've used a couple of the prop hedges from Park Life and then lots of different variety of bushes as we go all the way around. And that's a common theme throughout the theme park, which I think just adds a little something extra rather than just putting in a bog standard hedge. Or just a repeated same bush pattern. I think this looks quite nice. In here we did put in a little arcade area covered by a little shelter there, which I thought was quite cute. We've added in a few of these balloon and candy floss props as we go round. But yeah, just edged off the area really nicely, fenced in the entire theme park as well. So when we come along this road actually now, looks quite nice here with the fencing up the side. We need to fix those little rocks sticking out there. And lots of people travelling down from the metro to get down to the theme park that way. I did just put in a little Park Life pier here as well from the main city park. And then over here we did also put in a little queue system as well using the barriers, which I think just adds something extra to some of the rides like that. Done lots of little cafe areas like this one, so extended out the amusement park cafe here, used the same tables and parasols to extend that out. Little picnic area here surrounded by some more of that hedging mixed bushes. And yeah, that's pretty much it, just lots of the same all the way around. And then all around the water, of course, we've done the familiar Auridon landscaping with the reeds, grass, a little bit of overgrowth as well sticking out through these rocks framing all the water, which I think turned out quite nice. Then of course along the banking along the highway we've added in fencing and our lovely harbour quay rocks, which I think worked well there. Kept the beach nice and open here as if it was a little beach cove area. And then just up by the commercial strip as well, all we've done is added in a bit of fencing, tidied up with a bit of surface paint or a few more bushes here or there, added in a little centrepiece for our cosy motel, Starlight Motel there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just again, more surface paint, a little bit of fencing just to tidy this all up along here. So I think this strip is starting to look quite nice along this road, all backing onto this main ring road highway here, which is starting to get a little bit more use now we've got some different buildings down this way. So that pretty much sums it up for our theme park. So if you do have any name suggestions for this little amusement park area, please do drop them in the comments and let me know, and we will give it a name on a future episode. But I think it's turned out quite nicely, and in particular I'm really liking the tiling detail around this, and with the amusement park path road around it as well, it just frames off really nicely. Sits as a really nice foreground to our downtown there, particularly that nighttime shot when you've got all those lights going. It looks delightful. So we'll come through on a stream and fill out this area with some more residential and a few hotels around here as well. But for now, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, a like below is really appreciated. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you channel viewers. We are almost at 9,000 subscribers and we've hit 500,000 views in 6 months of Auridon. So I am just blown away by those milestones. and just cannot thank all of you enough. Honestly, never dreamed that that would be possible. And do drop your name suggestions in the comments, but that is all from me for today. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.